Hey, what's up everybody, it's me Jordan, and I'm back with another inking video. This time I'm inking Diane from the anime and manga 7 Deadly Sins. This drawing is based off an artwork by Nakaba Suzuki, who is the creator of the 7 Deadly Sins, and he's a really awesome artist. I haven't really seen much about this anime or manga, but I did a little bit of research because someone requested this ages ago, and I finally got around to inking it. So I thought I'd kind of look at some of his artwork, and his artwork's really awesome. And that's something that I really enjoy about doing these fan arts. I cop a little bit of flack sometimes for doing so much fan art and not heaps of original stuff, which is a little bit understandable, but what I really love about that is it forces me, well, it doesn't force me, but I research these artists who people want me to draw artwork from, and it's really inspiring, and I definitely learn a lot from that. I always try and learn something from these artists, whether it's techniques that they use or just ways that they do things. It's one thing to look at an artwork and think it looks cool, but it's kind of another thing to actually consciously try and understand what works about the image, why you actually like it, and then apply that to your own drawings. I get a lot of people asking for just tips for newer artists, and I think that's definitely a good tip, to actually study artists that you really like and actually think about why you like it, what's working about the image, why does the line work look good. And when you start thinking more deeply like that about your artwork, you'll be able to consciously improve what you're doing, I guess. At school, in art classes, we're always told to study the masters, like Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, the list goes on. And I think the same kind of applies to manga art. If you're actually serious about it and you want to improve, you have to be at least a little bit curious about what the masters in the manga field are doing. It doesn't have to be a tedious thing, you don't have to look up their whole life story and when they're born and all that stuff we have to do in art class. It doesn't have to be like that, but just at least research some of their work and try and get a deeper understanding about their work and why they're doing what they're doing and what's so appealing about it. And I think that will really help with your own artwork. You can't shortcut getting good at art, it just takes a lot of practice, and I feel like a broken record player when I'm always telling people practice, 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 because I get lots of people asking for advice. They say they're newer artists and they just want some tips, and that's pretty much all I can say. It just comes down to lots of practice. Nakaba Suzuki is 39. So he's obviously been drawing for a really long time, and there's just no way you can shortcut that. When you look at these amazing artists, a lot of them are slightly older, they're not ancient, but they're older than a lot of you guys. That kind of just shows something that they've been developing their skill for a really long time. Now there are really great artists who are young. Min Monster on Instagram is one example. She's still pretty young, I'm not sure how old she is now, but she might be 20 or something, and she's posted some pictures when she was like 14 and stuff, and she's already done some really great artworks, so there are people out there which we can all be jealous of. But the point I'm trying to get across is that if you're a younger artist, you shouldn't be frustrated with yourself if you feel like you can't compare to these other amazing artists, because it just takes time. Even if you practice a lot, it's still going to take that time to develop your skills. You even look at my artworks, look at some of my earlier videos on YouTube, and they're terrible. And I used to think they were really good, and they would take me ages. Like a drawing that would take me months back then, I could do in a few days now. Another interesting thing is how critical you should be of your own work. I think people fall on both sides of the spectrum sometimes. There's a healthy balance, and then some people think their artwork is amazing, but everyone else kind of knows it's not that amazing yet, and it's just a little bit awkward. Then there's other people who are way too critical of their own artwork, and they just put themselves down, and that's not helpful either. So you kind of want to be in the middle, where you can take some criticism, you can see what you can do better, but you're also positive about your artwork improving and just being happy that you're sticking with it and giving it a shot. That's something I think a lot of younger artists can struggle with, because they're kind of just finding their identity with their artwork and they're expressing themselves through their artwork, so it's not always fun when someone can be really critical about your work, especially if you're trying really hard. And I think it's a really interesting time now, with it being so easy to share your artwork with so many people over Instagram, YouTube, all the social media kind of things, that a lot of people can get some really harsh criticism from people who know nothing about them, who are just quick to kind of cut them down. And I mean, it hasn't been so bad for me because when I got into this stuff, I was already older and I can kind of deal with that stuff if I get kind of hateful comments and that kind of thing, which I don't really get too much of, luckily. I can deal with it. Like, I don't enjoy it, but it doesn't make me doubt myself. In some ways, it just motivates me more. But anyway, I think I'm just starting to ramble, so I'll move on. I think the art community is an interesting place at the moment. I think it's grown a lot because it was really small, and it's still pretty small, but I really hope it grows, especially on YouTube. I'd love to see more artists doing awesome YouTube videos and giving some insight into their artwork. But I think that's pretty much it for this drawing video. I will be colouring this at some stage. I've been doing quite a bit of drawing lately since I've been back from my holiday, and I've got some really cool stuff coming. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to check out my artwork on Instagram, follow me there. It's grown heaps and I post some pretty cool stuff on there, if I do say so myself. So check me out on Instagram. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It shows that at least a couple of people enjoy these videos and I'm not wasting my time here on YouTube. And like always, I will catch you guys next week in next week's drawing video. 23 now, so it gets hard for me to relate to any kind of young teen characters who are real wimpy and stuff. It just doesn't really do it for me, so I appreciate when they've got some cool characters who aren't, you know, just complete sooks.